There's a place called Kosovo.
Welcome to Yugoslavia, a series of sad, strange, and scary paradoxes.
All you ethnic Albanians, don't you let Slobodan force you out into a no man's land. Stay down in Kosovo, Banja Luka, Croatia. Ooh, I wanna take ya, babushka, your mama. Such a pretty drama. Imago Montenegro, baby, why don't we go down to Kosovo? We'll kick some ass, then we'll kick some bone. That's where our bombs will go. Way down to Kosovo. Take those Serbs and kick them to the curb. Send F-117s to enforce the democracy. Yugoslavia is great as a place to start a World War III.
Welcome to part 5 and the last part of Yugoslavia, a series of sad, strange, and scary paradoxes. I wish I could bring this story to a clear and clear-cut ending, but anyone that knows anything about history in the Balkans knows that 25 years is but a blink of an eye, and so tragically, Freedom Bridge over the Ibar River remains closed to car traffic. Freedom Bridge, connecting the northern Serb province of Mitrovica to the south and Pristina, the capital, remains a powerful symbol of U.S., NATO, UN, and the EU's failure to bring about a normalization between Serbs and Albanians in Kosovo. Now, in the year 2024, with 25 years of hindsight, was NATO's Kosovo war also a failure? You must decide. Part 5 writes itself through the lens of Americans honored by Kosovo for its liberation from Serbia. Ask yourself, what exactly did they do to deserve these honors? A close examination reveals a lot about U.S. foreign policy in the Balkans as Yugoslavia implodes. First in line in the honorees is Bill Clinton, followed closely by Madeleine Albright, and then William Walker. I hope you remember William Walker. He's a key player. And then Elliot Engel. Where did he come from to deserve his own stamp? Each has their own unique connection to Yugoslavia and NATO's Kosovo war. I think for many, vilifying the communists, the Serbs, and Milosevic is more profitable politically than loving and protecting the Kosovars, the Muslim Albanians. Is this politics versus religion, a paradox, or just business as usual for U.S. foreign policy? Well, again, you'll have to decide. Let's start in the fall of '99. Shortly after NATO's 78-day war, William Walker gets the Golden Key to Kosovo Award from Hashim Thaçi, 2 peas in a pod. Walker's CIA, using the State Department as diplomatic cover, and Thaçi, a career criminal, using religion and the liberation of Kosovo as a cover. Was this award a small reward, a token of thanks for Rachak? The Rachak Massacre, as described in the New York Times, the CIA's newspaper of record, was just the event U.S. Secretary of State Madeleine Albright needed to trigger President Bill Clinton into action, starting the Kosovo War, March 24, 1999. Ex-CIA and famous whistleblower John Stockwell reveals this scenario of events as standard covert action.
You read the people's history of this and you find that in each of these wars there was orchestration of public opinion. There were also triggers. Once you had the people worked up to a certain point, but they're still reluctant to fight, then you have some dramatic event or incident that gives them a big toot of adrenaline and they leap behind you and you go marching off to fight. The battleship Maine, the Lusitania, Pearl Harbor, Bay of Tonkin, each used to galvanize the people's mood to get us, ready to march off to war.
But a year later, Project Censored exposes Rachak for the false flag operation that it was. The Rachak Massacre was number 12 on the list of most censored stories of the year. Walker redressed the battlefield overnight, turning a Serb police firefight with KLA rebels into a civilian massacre of some 45 ethnic Albanians by Serb army and police. Rachak, as staged violence, targeted public opinion and weaponized the international press as part of U.S. NATO's essential order of battle, the propaganda machine, a humanitarian intervention. Wag the dog. Just by luck, one of the displaced Serbs we interviewed had a William Walker story to tell. We couldn't appreciate it at the time.
Anti Stane, her story is very sad. When they contacted William Walker in person, William Walker said, yes, your son is kidnapped. I will liberate him, but you must go instead of him.
Jumping to 2005 on our timeline, a human rights envoy from the Council of Europe finds Camp Bondsteel to be a mini version of Guantanamo Bay. But who exactly are they torturing? Locals working there are promised U.S. green cards for their silence. But what is so secret? During the Afghan War, the CIA used Macedonia as a black rendition site. Is Bondsteel just more of the same? Guns, drugs, and the CIA. Camp Bondsteel. To the victors go the spoils, including land, real estate, in this case a whole valley, just right for a huge army base, the largest since Vietnam, built in partnership with Brown and Root Construction Company, complete with an airstrip and visible from space. That's a lot of U.S. taxpayer dollars. We already have some 800 military bases around the world. Do we really need another one? Or is Bondsteel a critical forward training base for U.S. NATO expansion in the Balkans? As one displaced Albanian Kosovar told us, the reason for the war, U.S. supremacy in all ways. Still in 2005, Madeleine Albright now steps through Washington's infamous revolving door, with the startup of Albright Capital Management. She is now literally cashing in on her global connections to the seats of financial and political power. However, sometimes things don't go as planned, as in the case of her failed bid for the Kosovo Telecom and Post during the privatization process. More about that later. Please revisit Madeleine Albright's role as Secretary of State in creating fake diplomacy via the Rambouillet Accords as cover for and lead up to the Kosovo War. This timeline can't do justice to Albright, but one story tells of her growing up in Belgrade during the Nazi occupation of Yugoslavia as a Jewish child protected by Serbs. To contrast that, we have the book signing incident in Prague, where she screams, "Get out, you dirty Serbs," at a group of activists. Watch it on YouTube. Montenegro declares independence after a peaceful referendum, ending the state of Serbia-Montenegro and leaving Serbia landlocked. Now Montenegro begins the arduous journey of independence and democracy. Corruption at all levels of society, a legacy of the old Yugoslav political machine, will be perhaps one of the greatest challenges to Montenegro. Will this corruption be on full display as Montenegro develops its Adriatic coastline for tourism and real estate development? Each of these former Yugoslav countries has different stories to tell as they learn self-governance. Follow this part of our never-ending story on Balkan Insight. Now enter the Patriotic Highway or Motorway, Phase 1, 2006 to 2009. This boondoggle is one of the best and worst images of post-war Kosovo. This extravagant infrastructure development project represents the classic fleecing of poor and defenseless countries, in this case Albania and Kosovo. Washington can't sell Kosovo F-16 fighter jets built by Lockheed Martin, but it can sell a 4-lane motorway built by Bechtel, a no-bid contract with costs soaring from 1.4 billion euros to 2 billion euros. The project was so poorly conceived, even the World Bank and the IMF said no to loans. But the U.S. State Department ambassadors to Kosovo and Albania pressured these countries to sign a deal with Bechtel and their Turkish partners ENKA in spite of this big red flag. Built on the premise of creating increased trade and tourism, it was supposed to link Tirana and Pristina, the capitals of Albania and Kosovo. But the first phase only went from Tirana to the border of Kosovo. As costs soared, it became a toll road, defeating the purpose of helping farmers get their produce to market cheaper and quicker. But in 2018, farmers revolted against the toll charges and burned the toll booth. They should have burned the real culprits, those U.S. ambassadors, and all the corrupt politicians and civil servants that open their doors to such poverty-crushing exploitation. The construction business is notoriously corrupt, and highway construction is one of the most corrupt, filled with cost overruns and substandard materials. Enter China, challenging the U.S. for road building dominance in the Balkans. These huge infrastructure development projects test the wills of China and the U.S. for dominance in the Balkans, and China has a bigger piggy bank. And please remember, their Belt and Road Initiative goes through Belgrade, not Washington or Moscow. To learn more, please visit www.balkaninsight.com and search for Road to Ruin, the boom and bust of Balkan road building. 2006, Milosevic dies. You might think our Yugoslav story ends with the death of Milosevic in 2006, but sadly there's still much to be resolved. Milosevic dies under mysterious conditions during a long and drawn-out trial for war crimes during the Yugoslav wars. He's being tried by a special ad hoc court set up by the United Nations to prosecute war crimes during the Yugoslav Wars of Independence. The International Criminal Tribunal for the former Yugoslavia, or ICTY, is located in The Hague, Netherlands. His trial opens the law paradox, the international law paradox. If Milosevic is guilty of war crimes, certainly Clinton, Albright, and the whole NATO gang are just as guilty. But again, to the victors go the spoils, including, in this case, justice. Milosevic must stand trial for war crimes to complete the script of NATO's Kosovo humanitarian intervention. It's 2008, 9 years after NATO's Kosovo war, and Washington's patience is wearing thin. Serbia refuses to give up Kosovo. This can mean only one thing. It's time for unilateral independence. The tail wags the dog. Now Washington's quest for Kosovo's international recognition and legitimacy begins, all under Washington's watchful eye and now protective wing. Stay tuned for more amazing adventures in U.S. foreign policy. 2008 to 2013, Zastava Motors is sold. Now 2008, the economic hitmen have arrived. Over a period of 5 years, from 2008 to 2013, Zastava Car and Truck Factory is privatized, a powerful symbol of the transformation in the economy of Yugoslavia from socialism to free market capitalism. Zastava is sold to Fiat Automobile Serbia, a new ownership group made of Fiat, Chrysler Jeep, Alfa Romeo, Fiat Professional, and Lancia. Our group toured the factory in Kragujevac. At that time, it seemed NATO had destroyed 80 to 90% of the huge factory complex of buildings. A plant manager described the destruction of the paint lines for cars.
These were robots with the most modern technology of painting. I can remember with nostalgia.
Kad smo pravili vozila za Ameriku 86-7 godine,
When we manufactured the vehicles for USA,
tu liniju smo pustili baš tada.
we have started with this line then.
Inače radio je Siemens nemački,
Siemens, Germany,
Jayco Italija
and
i
Jayco
Rasburg
Italy,
nemački.
and Rasburg, Germany
to su
were
bile
here
roboti
working. These
sa
were
najmodernijom
robots
tehnologijom
with the
farbanja,
most modern technology of painting.
takozvana Rasburgova zvona.
These were so-called Rasburg bells.
30.000 obrtaja u sekundi imaju.
30,000 of revolution in minute. And they have hit it that directly, as you can
Linija
hit the
4.
man in the heart.
Linija
This is the
4,
line 4.
koja je isto po savremenosti bila jako visoka tehnologija,
It was very modern according to the technology.
je također uništena.
Also destroyed.
Now look at what the new owners have done with the place. Robots are now making upscale cars with sex appeal for Eastern and Western European markets. The tale of Zastava's privatization by Western capital mirrors the privatization of state assets throughout many of the former Iron Curtain countries, including Yugoslavia. 2009. Now the adulations begin. Kosovo celebrates its independence, recognizes and honors key Americans that helped liberate Kosovo from Serbia. It's fascinating to follow the political pecking order. First, then, is U.S. President Bill Clinton, honored with a statue and a boulevard in 2009. Now, staying in 2009 again, a surprise and sad new chapter in our Yugoslavia story jumps onto the front page. NATO expansion in the Balkans. Croatia and Albania join NATO. Taking a closer look at this expansion, maybe I can believe Croatia can afford to modernize their military to NATO standards. But Albania, I'm sorry, it's a joke. Albania, one of the poorest countries in southeastern Europe, where do they get the money needed to modernize their military? Who is lending them all those millions of dollars or dinars? And at what interest rates? Is the Albanian mafia, guns, drugs, and the CIA financing NATO expansion in the Balkans? Are the democratic institutions of Western Europe turning a blind eye to endemic corruption throughout the public and private sectors of all these newly emerging countries? Sadly, a legacy of the old Yugoslavia. Our timeline can't do justice to this part of our story, so please take a closer look at NATO expansion in the Balkans, including Romania and Bulgaria. Again, use Balkan Insight and Wikipedia as part of your research. Moving on to 2010. Madeleine Albright is honored by Hashem Thaçi for her contribution to the liberation of Kosovo. It's been 10 years since the Kosovo War, and Hashem Thaçi has turned from KLA terrorist to world statesman. Please apply the 5 W's of journalism to Madeleine Albright. Who, what, when, where, why, and how. She's a story within a story. 2013, Through the Revolving Door with Madeleine Albright, from U.S. Secretary of State to private capitalists, with the founding of Albright Capital Management. However, even with her influence, she fails to win a license to operate a mobile telecom network in Kosovo. This is just part of Albright's story within a story. Please take a moment to visit albrightcapital.com. It reveals the insidious corruption of Washington's revolving door. 2013 may be a pivotal year on our timeline. China's Belt and Road Freight Service arrives in Belgrade on its way north to Budapest, Prague, and beyond. China's modern-day Belt and Road Initiative through the Balkans retraces the famous Chinese Silk Road of antiquity. History does have a way of repeating itself. China's Belt and Road Initiative, or BRI, is their version of empire building. Low interest rate loans for infrastructure development, bridges, roads, railroads, high-speed railroads, and mineral extraction. In the case of Serbia, it's rebuilding bridges destroyed by NATO in '99. But China also wants Serbia's copper and lithium. China's BRI is the tip of the spear challenging US, EU, and Russian hegemony in the Balkans. Remember well, as the Chinese do, NATO's bombing of their embassy in Belgrade, May 7th, '99. Stay tuned for the 25th anniversary visit of Xi Jinping to Serbia. 2015. Elliot Engel enters our story. Another American honored by Kosovo with a boulevard in his name in the city of Peć. Engel represents the dueling paradoxes of our Yugoslavia narrative. One on the front page of the New York Times, one hidden in the murky shadows of U.S. foreign policy. Who is Elliot Engel? Why is he being honored? A hint. A liberal Jew, Democrat, New York, served in the U.S. House of Representatives on the Foreign Relations Committee, all during the breakup of Yugoslavia. 2016. As our timeline marches on, so does China's Belt and Road Initiative, when Costco buys 51% ownership of Piraeus Port Authority, Piraeus, Greece, including a container terminal. Costco stands for China Ocean Shipping Company. China's Belt and Road Initiative, or BRI, travels by rail on land and by huge container ships on the water. The port of Piraeus opens China's Belt and Road Initiative to Mediterranean and Adriatic seaports and beyond to Rotterdam in the heart of Western Europe. China's trade routes must constantly grow as their exports must constantly flow, critical to supporting such a huge domestic Chinese economy. 2017, Montenegro joins NATO as the 29th member in a dramatic political and economic pivot to the West. Again, now in late 2024, with Russia's 3-year war raging on. This event takes on new importance, jumping onto the front page, becoming another story within a story. And again, please apply the 5 W's of journalism to Montenegro's NATO expansion. NATO's ascension process is a long and winding road, ultimately running through Washington with U.S. President Donald Trump's blessing. Now Montenegro, with a long and beautiful Adriatic coastline, is open for business. Tourism and real estate development being the big drivers of the economy. But can Montenegro balance economic development with military development and grow a healthy democracy at the same time? Sadly, it seems Ramsey Clark's words fall on deaf ears.
The military budget is $300 billion. The budget for that building over there is $300 billion. Until we cut that by 90%, there's going to be brutal war, and we know it. We've got to stop that budget and end the fueling of the flames of war conducted by the United States. We've got to abolish NATO.
2018, and our motorway paradox adds another layer. Because of gross corruption at the top, poor people at the bottom have to pay. Now a motorway built with the promise of helping farmers get their produce to market faster becomes a toll road. And now these same farmers burn a toll booth in protest along the Duras-Kukas Highway. I question these 4-lane motorways being built in Kosovo, Albania, Montenegro, and North Macedonia at great expense. Who profits and who pays? Are these grand motorways for Europe's rich, giving them easy, fast vacation access to the Adriatic Sea, while local communities in their paths struggle to find investment in basic infrastructure, schools, hospitals, cell and internet service, libraries, investment in all the institutions needed for a healthy working democracy. 2018 brings another accolade for U.S. Secretary of State Madeleine Albright, honored with her own square in Pristina, the capital of Kosovo. And again, another layer of Albright's story within a story is revealed. Albright, saint or sinner? Obviously both. What do you think? 2019. On the heels of Albright's award reward, 2019 brings another award reward, this time for ex-U.S. President Bill Clinton, receiving the Freedom Award from Hashim Thaçi, now President of Kosovo. Bill Clinton, another story within a story. Saint or sinner? Saint to the Kosovars, sinner to the Serbs. What do you think? Exactly what role does Clinton play in this story to deserve a Freedom Award? Did he really bring freedom to the Kosovars? Does that freedom come with a real democracy, a free market economy that brings jobs, better schools, and hospitals? A displaced Albanian we had a chance to interview during our 2-week trip back in '99 shares his views on American democracy.
You also came from United States, and you know that America wants to have the primate in all countries, have influence in all countries. Till the NATO bombing, he was in love with democracy. He was sympathizing the democracy in the United States. After studying some things and some facts about the democracy in the United States and about democracy in the negotiations, he knows that there is no democracy in the United
Amerika je
States.
najveći zagovornik protiv terorizma. Bila.
The United States was the first country against the terrorism.
A u stvari ona na Kosovu je podstakla terorizam.
But in our case, in case of Yugoslavia, in case of Kosovo, the United States support and are still supporting the terrorism of KLA in Kosovo.
Answers require a close look at the role of the president in carrying out U.S. foreign policy. In the case of Kosovo, U.S. foreign policy is war, air war on the Serbs.
Today, our armed forces joined our NATO allies in airstrikes against Serbian forces responsible for the brutality in Kosovo,
with collateral damage on Albanian civilians. Civilians, the greatest victims of war. Kosovars now caught between Serb army and police, the KLA, and NATO bombs. This Freedom Award reveals the brazen hypocrisy of both Thaçi and Clinton, two peas in a pod. 2019. And China celebrates another Belt and Road milestone with the opening of a freight train trade route to Prague in the Czech Republic, taking only 18 days. It's worth repeating. This Chinese trade route goes through Belgrade, not Washington or Moscow. Is it ironic? Is it a paradox? Or is it just the unavoidable results of globalization that China has emerged as the primary country, picking up and picking at the remains of Yugoslavia, It's no wonder that BalkanInsight.com has devoted a separate menu to China in the Balkans. Please, please read. Do I have to say it? China has emerged as another story within a story. Yugoslavia, a series of sad, strange, and scary paradoxes. 2019 takes us down a history rabbit hole to the age of Alexander the Great of Macedon, king of the ancient Greek kingdom of Macedonia. Fast forward to 2019 as Macedonia ascends to EU membership. It's forced to change its name to North Macedonia via the Prespa Agreement to satisfy Greek objections and settle confusion between the northern Greek province of Macedonia and the country of Macedonia. Please read more about Macedonia's slow and bureaucratic EU ascension process on Wikipedia. And thank you. Each of these former Yugoslav countries are a story within a story, and Macedonia is certainly no different. So in 2020, on the heels of its name change, North Macedonia joins NATO as the 30th member. And again, ask yourself the same questions as Montenegro and Albania. How does this small, poor country afford to join the NATO military alliance? But the real question is Washington signing the checks for North Macedonia's new NATO arsenal. Is NATO expansion just a revolving door slush fund for America's military-industrial complex? 2002 takes us back to Kosovo. William Walker is awarded a $35,000 consulting contract from Hashim Thaçi, now president of Kosovo. As you remember, Walker does Racak. Thaçi does the KLA. So these guys have a unique bond. I can only guess what this contract is for. Is it to help Kosovo gain international recognition or to keep Thaçi out of jail? If Walker's contract was to keep Thaçi out of jail, it didn't work. So staying in the year 2020, Hashim Thaçi is indicted for war crimes by the ICTY, the International Criminal Tribunal for the former Yugoslavia in The Hague. By now, you should know who Thaçi is. He's one of the key players in our Yugoslavia paradox. And now he has to give up his Kosovo presidency and a trip to Washington at Trump's invitation for a trip to The Hague at the ICTY's invitation. Now I present, in the year 2020, America's great deal maker, now making trade great again between Serbia and Kosovo. Come September 4th, 2020, U.S. President Donald Trump gets both Serb President Vučić and Kosovo Prime Minister Hodi in the same room at the same time. History will quickly reveal the success or failure of this endeavor. let me draw your attention to two of the characters standing in the back row. Richard Grenell, Trump's special envoy to the Balkans, and Jared Kushner, son-in-law and real estate developer with recent investments in Adriatic Sea coastal tourism. Stay tuned for Trump 2.0. What part will Grenell and Kushner play in Trump's 2.0? Will he succeed this time in making normalization great again? 2021 brings another Trump deal for Kosovo, this time with Israel, to build international recognition for Kosovo. And this time Jared Kushner is involved, making it a Trump-Kushner deal. And here's the deal. Kosovo promises to open their embassy in Jerusalem, and in exchange, Israel recognizes Kosovo as an independent country, giving them international recognition. This deal exposes so many hypocrisies, it's hard to know where to start. But the U.S. State Department, the CIA, and the KLA are all good places to start. If the KLA were the good Muslim jihadis they said they were, they wouldn't be using drug trafficking to finance their guerrilla war, let alone working with and taking money from Western Christian infidels like Bill Clinton and Madeleine Albright. I can't even guess what the average Kosovar thought of this deal. And what about Israel? What do they get out of the deal? They build momentum and international support for moving the capital of Israel from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem.
Across the Adriatic Sea, there's a place called Kosovo. That's where we're gonna go to do away with them all. Time to make a stand, all you ethnic Albanians. Don't you let Slobodan force you out into a no man's land. Stay down in Kosovo, Banja Luka, Croatia. Ooh, I wanna take ya, Babushka, your mama. Such a pretty drama, Embargo, Montenegro. Baby, why don't we go down to Kosovo? Kick some ass, then we'll kick some bone. That's where our bombs will go. Way down to Kosovo. Take those Serbs and kick them to the curb. Send F-117s to enforce the democracy. Yugoslavia is great as a place to start a World War III.
Coming dangerously close to the end of our story, 2021 starts an ongoing series of license plate revolts in the Serb-dominated province of North Mitrovica, north of the Ibar River. This enclave of approximately 20,000 Serbs live in limbo, caught between Serb Eastern Orthodox nationalism, a loyalty to Belgrade, and an Albanian-dominated independent Kosovo. Please understand, Kosovo is sacred ground to many of these Serbs. Is it not like asking American Indians to give up their reservations, what little sacred ground they still have? After 20-plus years, The license plate revolts and the closure of the I-bar bridge to car traffic are bitter tastes of what happens when you redraw the borders of a sovereign country. Diplomacy and negotiations have failed to normalize relations, with periodic flare-ups of ethnic tensions and violence becoming the new normalization. Will North Mitrovica become autonomous in some form, a canton perhaps? Will borders be redrawn again, making North Mitrovica part of Serbia? Only time, lots and lots of time, will tell. Please read more about the license plate revolt on Wikipedia under North Kosovo Crisis 2022 to 2024. The status of North Mitrovica begs the question, what is the status of U.S. Army Base Camp Bonstil in the eastern NATO sector of Kosovo? As our Yugoslavia story comes to an end, another story within a story is revealed. Camp Bonstil. Can you count the number of U.S. military bases around the world? Camp Bonstil puts the U.S. military-industrial complex under a microscope. Hey, take a look. 2022, Madeleine Albright dies. One of our central stories within a story. She dies March 23rd on the 23rd anniversary of NATO's Kosovo War, March 24th, 99. A coincidence? A fitting twist of fate? Karma? Destiny? I really don't know. What's your guess? Some Albright stories tell of Serbs hiding this Jewish child from Nazis during World War II occupation. Later in life, she converts to Catholicism to get married. How, when, where, why she develops such a hatred of Serbs is anyone's guess. Certainly a sad, strange, and scary story within a story. As our series of sad, strange, and scary paradoxes come to an end, we walk on two legs with two languages. One leg in the past, speaking Serb. NATO's bombing of the Chinese embassy 25 years ago. One leg in the present, speaking Chinese, with the state visit of Chinese President Xi Jinping to Belgrade on the 25th anniversary of that attack. Xi referred to the bombing, saying, "We must not forget that 25 years ago today, NATO brazenly bombed the Chinese embassy in Yugoslavia." Xi's state visit cements China's growing economic and political investment in Serbia. It was China that helped Serbia rebuild vital bridges destroyed by NATO. And it's China that's building a high-speed rail line between Belgrade and Budapest. The Bor copper mine and smelter complex is another good example of Chinese investment in Serbia. It's another good meta tag. Bohr copper mine. It was a target for NATO bombs 25 years ago, now purchased by Chinese investors and modernized. Please refer to BalkanInsight.com for more on China in the Balkans. And please remember, China's Belt and Road Initiative goes through Belgrade, not Washington or Moscow. We end our story as we began, with Serbia caught in the middle between an old West and a new East. Now a three-way split. Old best friend, Eastern Orthodox Mother Russia. New best friend, China. And the old colonizers, Western Europe, with their top prize of EU membership. Finally, as a sad, strange, and scary epilogue, we seem hostage to the fickle whims of history, Balkan style. Now in January 2025, as Donald Trump takes the oath of office one more time, Trump 2.0 provides us with another great ending to our series of Yugoslavia paradoxes. Will the great deal maker make Serb Kosovo normalization great again? What role will Richard Grenell, Jared Kushner, and NATO play in Trump 2.0? How will the great deal maker deal with Serbia and China's one nation policy? Serbia supports Taiwan as part of China, as China supports Kosovo as part of Serbia. As I say goodbye to Yugoslavia, these paradoxes, stories within stories, turn to ghosts, fading through my mind, and now maybe yours. Thanks for watching, and watch out for more paradoxes just down the tracks. Those Chinese freight and rail high-speed tracks, and around the next bend of Balkan history. Will it be made in China or the U.S. of A?
I'm a jolly banker am I. I safeguard the farmers and widows and orphans, singing I'm a jolly banker am I. Dust storms are sailing and crops they are failing, I'm a jolly banker am I. I check up your shortage and bring down your mortgage, singing I'm a jolly banker am I. When money you're needing and mouths you are feeding, I'm a jolly banker am I. I'll plaster your home with a furniture loan, singing I'm a jolly banker am I. If you show me you need it, I'll let you have credit. I'm a jolly banker am I. Just bring me back 2